Welcome back to Azerbaijan and to the conclusion of a memorable first weekend of GP2 action around the streets of the nation's capital. The Baku City Circuit, our venue for the 20-lap sprint race here at round 3 of the 2016 GP2 series. I'm your commentator, Alex Shakes. Well, in 2016, GP2 has been absolutely sensational. Yesterday, though, the action reached new heights. As we look at the man on reverse grid pole, we'll explain how he got there if you weren't with us yesterday. Antonio Giovinazzi became the 5th different winner in 5 races, and he did so with a really impressive drive, fighting his way back to the front after dropping down at the start. He scored his first win and Prima's debut victory as well at only their 3rd round in GP2. Truly impressive stuff, as is this 3.7-mile circuit. It's an instant favourite with the entire grid, almost universally praised as a challenge. So, Daniel de Jong for the first ever time on reverse grid pole for MP Motorsport, who won a race the last time we had a new venue back in 2014. Sean Gelael has never, ever had this view at the start, a front row for him as well. Nobuharu Matsushita led so much of yesterday's race in the opening period, but fell away. Can he take another sprint race victory like he did in Monaco 3 weeks ago? Mitch Evans, super consistent, managed to find himself 5th yesterday. He's 4th today. Then Ollie Rowland, Raffaele Marcello, who was on the podium. He had 2nd, ripped away from him by Sergei Sorokin at the last. Our race winner, Giovinazzi, is 8th, and then Luca Giotto, Gustav Malia, Jimmy Eriksson, and Jordan King. Everyone, of course, who finished yesterday managed to score points. So these are all the retirements from yesterday. Then we have Nato, who hit his teammate, Jeffrey, Markelov, Armand, Kirchhofer in 17th, Gasly is 18th, Kanamassas was eliminated at the start. Artapik has a penalty for causing a collision with Artem Markelov, and Alex Lynn and Nicholas Latifi. Very unusual to see the Dams boys at the back. Here's the distinctive Campos, and Sean Gelael, confident of points again. He scored his first points ever in GP2 yesterday. Pretty impressive from Sean. Managed to keep it on the road when others really struggled to do so. Track temperature today, 50 degrees. Really a roasting day here in the Azerbaijani capital. Here's our race winner for yesterday. He has looked mighty all weekend long. 2nd fastest in practice. Fastest in qualifying. Didn't panic when he found himself down to 5th at the start, as we have a look at the already familiar middle part of this lap, turn 8 and 9, that takes them past the 12th century walls. And we didn't see any trouble in GP2 at that part of the track. Pretty much everywhere else, though, we did. And so the team bosses will have been saying, calm down. We saw a huge incident at the start yesterday, and that really did surprise a lot of people in the paddock, purely because of the straight that you're looking at right now. It is such a glaring overtaking opportunity that to take a risk at other parts of the racetrack, perhaps not the most sensible. Norman Nato was clipped by Pierre Gasly, but Gasly, well, absolutely furious. Afterwards, there weren't a lot of smiles aside from the top 2. Sergei Sorokin brilliantly recovered from 8th to 2nd by winning a drag race to the line with Raffaele Marcello. And there is Marcello. And it really was a simmering GP2 paddock afterwards, with hard luck stories across the board. But unusually, when racing drivers get downcast, there was an underlying air of optimism that with this fantastic overtaking opportunity into turn 1, and we saw a lot of people overtaking into turn 3 as well, that pretty much everyone on the grid is starting this race with a little bit of belief that it could be their day, and that is a very rare thing. No complaints about overtaking, even though it's a street circuit. One driver even described it as easy. An unusual front row reflecting what we saw yesterday, but what an opportunity for these guys. They will have adjusted the setup of their cars. One man we saw running at the start yesterday was Luca Giotto. And he said they just went the wrong way with setup. The tyres went off a cliff, and they're all on the medium white walled Pirelli tyre for this sprint race. Did not have a lot of information about the tyres yesterday. So we're on board with Ollie Rowland, who scored a really strong 4th place yesterday. Slightly caught out at the restart. He held his hands up for that. Had been running for so much of the race in 3rd place. But with the multiple safety cars just on the restart, he wasn't able to take advantage and claim his 2nd podium. Remember, he scored his 1st in Monaco 3 weeks ago. So this is the 2nd best overtaking opportunity on the racetrack. We're heading down the 500-meter straight. That's a proud moment for Daniel de Jong. And we check in with the Drivers' Championship. Norman Nato, despite failing to finish yesterday, still heads the field. The big winner you can see in 3rd place, Raffaele Marcello, who's one of only 2 men, along with Ollie Rowland, who's in 5th, to score points in all 5 races this season. We're on board with Alex Lynn, who's starting 21st on the back row with his teammate. He was understandably frustrated. Gasly said Nato was trying to win the race at the first corner, a sentiment echoed by Nicholas Latifi. So we're expecting slightly more caution down into turn 1. But if they see a gap, you know what they're going to do. Artem Markelov, another man who was not very happy after colliding this part of the racetrack with Peak, who received that 5-place penalty as a result. He believed his car was good enough for 3rd, he told me after the race. He definitely thought in that part of the feature he had the speed to get himself back onto the podium. He starts in 15th, of course the position that he won the race from in Monaco a few weeks ago. So the drivers usually prefer 2 laps to warm tyres and brakes, just the 1. That might have contributed. We did see a real spread of start reactions yesterday, which mainly led. Nato had made a series of places off the line. And it's a difficult one for the guys on the front row. De Jong, who we see will be doing his final burnouts as he heads the grid through the last substantial corner. The last time they'll touch the brake pedal for a good 20 seconds before they're back at turn 1, having reached speeds of 205 miles an hour. And MP Motorsport hoping to repeat the feat that they did back in Sochi in 2014 with Marco Sorensen taking a shock victory at a new venue. De Jong yesterday scoring only his consecutive points for the 1st ever time. So he scored points in Monaco and he scored points once again yesterday with the bonus for the 1st ever time of reverse grid pole. And you see the contraflow coming out of turn 6 and turn 19 with some terrific pictures yesterday. I think the most amazing was all of the remaining cars at the restart when we went back racing with 2 laps to go. And you could see all 12 in the same shot. Huge heat, really stifling days, so a test of driver fitness as well. They were all completing their warm-ups with their physios about an hour before in the paddock, finding some shade and running through the basics. And for the front row, I imagine an unusual and slightly nervous feeling as the teams in the pit lane desperate to see a better day. Trident's first points there, they'll be hoping for more. Giotto has gone fairly radically in a different direction on the setup, he was telling me. Nothing to lose from 9th position. The top 8, remember, will score points in this race. And we wait for the formation at the back of the grid. They're all in place. We have the green flag, and now look up to the lights. For only the 2nd time in Baku, we're about to go racing. 5 red lights, and we're underway in Azerbaijan for the sprint race. A really poor start for Galail and de Jong. Is Matsushita going to be able to get into the lead? He's forced his way through at turn 1 to go from 3rd to 1st in a matter of meters. De Jong down to 2nd. It's Evans who's up to 3rd, and Ollie Rowland has got himself up to 4th, and that's Marcello going wide. Has to be careful on the exit. So a change for the lead absolutely immediately, as many were predicting. It's Jimmy Eriksson and Raffaele Marcello who's lost 2-3 places, getting very close indeed as they head down to turn number 3 for the first time. And Malia going through. Malia, who started this race in 10th position, so not the start that Marcello needed. He's got his countryman Giotto behind him, and not a very impressive start for Giovinazzi as well, who looks to have lost positions, as Canamassas trying to make his way past Jeffrey, and it's side by side for the 2 Italians as Giovinazzi gets through. He fancies his chances of a podium today. Matsushita, though, doing exactly what he needed to do and sprinting clear. Remember, they won't get DRS until lap 3 of this race. And Mitch Evans is getting ever closer to the back of Daniel de Jong. So Matsushita leading de Jong, then Evans, then Ollie Rowland, who's looked really stable all the way through this weekend. Galail down into 5th position. But going well at the moment. He's got a really tough customer behind him, though. Sergei Sorokin saying, I can win this race before it started. And he's in a strong position as Canamassas challenging Giotto, who's getting a little bit of a wiggle on coming out of 16. That's going to make him vulnerable going down the straight. And we saw the Dams cars together at the back. So Nobuharu Matsushita leads them across the line with a lead of 1 second exactly. So he's going to try and build on that. Then it's de Jong, Evans, Rowland, Galail. 6th is Sorokin, 7th Malia. Raffaele Marcello is in 8th position. We're looking at a move of Canamassas. We thought it might happen coming out of turn 16. He had to wait an awfully long time to complete it. He's had to go defensive into turn 2, and that's going to get very close indeed between Markelov and Jeffrey behind. That is the battle for 13th position, and Markelov had to take seriously evasive a route off the racetrack there. And he's just about repelled Norman Nato, the championship leader, the man in the lead in the title battle. As Latifi trying to send one down the inside of Philo Armand and making the move stick. Alex Lynn at the back of that pack. So his teammate had overtaken him on the back straight through to the really tight and twisty part of this racetrack, only 8 meters wide at its narrowest part. That's the corner, of course, where Lewis Hamilton made an error in qualifying. And Matsushita, we've seen this in Budapest in 2015, and we saw it in Monaco a few weeks ago. When he gets comfortable, when he gets into the lead, he set the fastest lap yesterday, and he is looking very strong as he attempts to become 2016's first repeat winner. So the guys who are out of position, staying out of position at the moment. Pierre Gasly is still in the 18th position that he started in. Giotto losing a few places, falling down to 9th. Yesterday, we heard on the radio Ollie Rowland saying he was playing the long game. I think he will be slightly more attacking as Evans getting ever closer to the back of de Jong, but nothing he can do this time around. And it's a new fastest lap of the race from Nobuharu Matsushita. Interestingly, Sorokin not able to make any progress from Galail despite the start. Here is the start, despite setting the fastest final sector of the lap. And you saw Matsushita just straight past Galail for second in the initial phase, and in the second phase, he knew what he was doing. He was going to the inside of turn 1. And de Jong, who we heard is focusing on points, so just a slower initial getaway for Galail. That allowed Evans up to 3rd, and that's the move for the lead. And Matsushita will be difficult to catch from here. And at the back, they all managed to make it through. On board with Ollie Rowland. Bit of wheel spin at the start. We're in 5th position at the moment. So just taking it very, very easy, but a much better exit on the racing line, and that is how he got himself up to 4th place. Alex Lynn, we're on board with him. A really slow start there for Markelov, who then gains time. Once again, you can understand that Lynn really backing out of it into turn 1 early on after what happened to him yesterday when he was eliminated at that corner. A little bit of contact in front. This was Markelov and Jeffrey a moment ago whilst we were watching the start replay, and that has damaged the front wing of the Russian time, sending debris back into the racetrack, and surely will need either a virtual safety car or a safety car. So the yellow flag was out. Was it out of the detection point? Will they get DRS across the line this time? They will. You can see Mitch Evans in the background benefiting from the drag reduction system, but still he can't get close. Here's a man who can, though, down the inside. Sergei Sorokin moving himself up into 5th position in this race, and Gustav Malia posting the fastest lap of the race behind. So Rapax with super speed at this stage of the race. Have they managed to clear the debris? I think they have, which is a remarkable effort from the marshals, if indeed that's the case. So no need for a virtual safety car, no need for a full and a real safety car, and you can see that Malia with a great balance, the man who started working this year with Rickard Rydell, the touring car driver, and he's benefiting at the moment. This was the move for 5th position, I should say, as the ART went past the Campos in pretty routine fashion with the use of DRS, and you can see how far Sorokin has pulled away immediately from Galal, who will be focusing and hoping that he can keep himself in the top 8. De Jong, I would have expected De Jong to be dropped. He's putting in a terrific performance, only 1.6 seconds away. Remember, Daniel De Jong had that huge accident in Belgium, recovered to return, broke 2 vertebrae in his neck, and this is the highest we've ever seen him in a GP2 race, and he's doing so with aplomb for the moment. We've got a yellow flag out on the racetrack at turns 5 and 6, I think it is, but it's been removed, so maybe minor contact as the pack sweeps through turn 19, the last substantial change of direction on the racetrack. 20 is a bit of a non-event. Sergio Canamassas, who started 19th, has roared through early on. He's up to 11th. We saw him overtaking when others could not earlier in the season at Monaco. To the order, stabilizing a bit. And Gustav Mahler, you can see the pace advantage he's got. Managed to score a point yesterday with 10th position. He's got a personal best this season of 9th. So this is the highest we've seen him in GP2 as well. And Sorokin making use of being out of the way of the car that Malia is trying to clear with the fastest lap of the race, a 1:56.9. So there's 1.4 seconds between Matsushita and the leader. So De Jong coming back at Matsushita. Remember, as I was saying earlier, they were not sure about the behavior of these medium Pirellis, and this is the warmest the track has ever been when they've been racing on it. So not the information they would be used to, and as a result, it's far more down to the driver's feel. Where's the grip? Where can you take a risk? Where can you kick the rear out, and where do you need to be precise? You certainly need to be precise through turn number 8. You can see Sorokin getting very close to Roland. The gap is only 7/10. If we have no yellow flags around the circuit, a real opportunity for the Russian driver, who's delivering on his promise that he would have the pace to win this race. He's 4 seconds off the lead. Still a fair chunk of the race to go. So Malia, does he have the ability? We know from practice and yesterday, the Camposes are very quick in a straight line. That's the way you would go with setup if you weren't traditionally at the front. You would give yourself extremely good straight line speed. Here's Ollie Rowland going for Mitch Evans and breezing past Mitch Evans. Can he get it slowed down into one? He's going to go wide, very close on the exit then. We're on board with Ollie Rowland. Mitch Evans has disappeared, surely back into third position. He has, and look how close Sorokin now is to the podium that he expected to be a minimum today. DRS for both Rowland and Sorokin. They're all over the back of the Campos of Evans, who doesn't know which way to go. And Ollie Rowland moves up into third place. If he can just slow it down, which he does. Accomplished move by the MP Motorsport driver, and now MP Motorsport are running second and third. It's a red letter day for them so far, but let's not speak so soon in this sprint race, because we saw what happened yesterday. They've all been thoroughly well behaved so far, but that could change, of course, at any moment. Malia still trying to make his way past Galal. Is he going to have to get inventive and try it into 7? Thinks better of it. And you can see Marcello has stabilized in this race, has got himself back through the field to 8th position, having dropped down to 12th on the opening lap. He has good pace at the moment. And Markelov, his teammate, in 13th position. So he's made a couple of places from his 15th starting spot on the grid. Canamassas a little bit behind Jordan King now, so his progress has been halted. So all the field will have DRS. Daniel de Jong, can't praise him highly enough. He's got the gap down from 1.6 to 1.1. If he can carry on that sort of pace, he's going to be in DRS range, and he's going to have a chance of winning this race. He is seizing the moment, but he's got some very quick customers behind him. As we look at the battle for the lead, Nobuharu Matsushita of ART leading MP Motorsport, and Matsushita's gained a 10th on that lap. Here's Sorokin on Mitch Evans, breaking down ahead in the braking zone and moving up into 4th position in this race. The man who's had such a torrid start to the season, and he's got damage to the left-hand side of his front wing, but it's not slowing him down at all, is it? You can see on the left-hand side there, missing an end plate, but it's not hampering his progress through the field. And with DRS once again, he now tries to pass Ollie Rowland for the final spot on this podium. And so even though it's a street track, we are seeing absolutely loads of overtaking, and how terrific it is to see. Here's Sorokin, despite the damage, confident under braking, forcing Evans, who went defensive, over the curb. And so he returns to the 4th place he was occupying a few minutes ago. We mentioned the progress of Raffaele Marcello. Well, it's rather been tempered by coming across the Rapax of Gustav Malia. Did he take too much out of the tyres in the early stage of this race, trying to get past Galal? He wasn't able to match the straight line speed. And Marcello, for the moment, with Jimmy Eriksson behind, desperate to score his first point of the season. So many of the field have scored points. Only Eriksson, Philo Armand and Nabil Jeffrey are without title series points so far this season, and Eriksson can just see it up the road. Difficult situation, but it would be great to see Arden back in the points. He's got Jordan King behind him though, Eriksson, as well as Sergio Canamassas, who has bridged that gap. Great run now for the Russian timer Marcello. Jinking out, using the DRS, and he's going to be passed immediately. So what an exit as Malia goes back into the slipstream, tries to redraft him down the inside. And here's a move for position that could end in tears, and will end in tears. And that could take all 3 of them out. Jordan King, Jimmy Eriksson, and contact again for Jordan King in Baku. Canamassas will escape. Can Eriksson spin himself back around? We, of course, have a yellow flag. That was the battle for 9th. And has it ended for Jimmy Eriksson, who I was talking about a few moments ago? They will almost certainly need a virtual safety car if he can't get out of there. So we were focusing on Marcello, who locked up but took the position, and King came late, and Eriksson wasn't expecting him at all. Canamassas did well not to just cream into the front, as did Nabil Jeffrey, who very nearly collected King. We see it in slow motion. And the safety car has been deployed as we look at the reason why. Ericsson shunted off into the barrier. One more time. So good straight line speed for the Arden, because you've seen other cars being passed well before the braking point. But nothing Ericsson could really do. And King was clearly expecting to see more space down the inside than he was given, as we watched the Swedish driver, the GP3 graduate, walking away. And in chase of his first points of the season, it ends dramatically in the Tech Pro barrier. So I told you the drivers had been calmed down, not only in the drivers' briefing, but by their team bosses. And
he's looking okay. He's looking okay. I think so, yes.
So despite contact, Jordan King is confident about continuing in this race. There he is in the order. So he was battling for 9th, but he's fallen way down behind Giotto, so that will be 16th on the road. And our first retirement. What an opportunity for MP Motorsport this is. Matsushita, we saw him lose the lead on a restart yesterday to Raffaele Marcello, who's made great progress after a poor start. Marcello just 1 place below where he started. He is up to 7th, and we can see that the area is clear, so they had to throw the safety car for that. There was a car pointing out onto the racing line. We've seen a lot of cars in the barrier at turn 1 this weekend, so the full safety car definitely required. What we saw a lot of yesterday, though, is that it was out maybe a touch too long, and so the entire field will be desperate to get past and get racing once again. So King on the right-hand side, expecting to be left a gap, expecting to go side by side through the corner, and Jimmy Ericsson not prepared to leave that space. Be interesting to see how Derek Daly, the driver steward, and the others call this one. King coming from late, but the door firmly closed. And Kanamassas caught up in that, would have benefited. He dropped 4 places whilst he was waiting to rejoin this racetrack safely. And you see, after the damage yesterday, no livery on the side pod of Jordan King. It was almost comical, the amount of cars being returned to the mechanics. And a word for the teams who have had to work in stifling conditions. It's about 35 degrees in the GP2 paddock, in the conditions they're working in, and they certainly have had to put the hours in this weekend. The great news is that the safety car is in this lap. So we saw Matsushita wait until sort of halfway along the blast down to turn 1 to restart the race. Will he drop the hammer immediately today? The answer is he absolutely will. So De Jong is going to have a real chance of a slipstream. No DRS, of course. Sorokin very close to the back of Ollie Rowland in the battle for 3rd place. Matsushita will lead them across the line. He's getting close to catching the safety car. Remember, of course, that you can't overtake it. And he's caught the safety car. That's going to give it an enormous opportunity to Daniel De Jong, who's in the slipstream. And look at Ollie Rowland. He's just streamed through into the lead. But he's locked up, and there could be contact. De Jong is off the road at turn 1. Ollie Rowland is in the lead, but Matsushita somehow loads of cars off at turn number 1 in dramatic fashion. They had to warm tyres and brakes, so Matsushita did not judge that restart correctly. He went early, but then caught the safety car once again. He had to slow down. He lost the lead, and here comes Sorokin for 2nd place. So Ollie Rowland was in the lead moments ago. He's now down to 3rd position in this race. He might have gained it fortuitously, but his heart will sink. And what did Sergei Sorokin tell us before we started this race? I can win it. Well, he's managed to get himself up from 7th on the grid. So Nobuharu Matsushita is the lead car here. He can't drop the hammer. He was unsure of what to do. He was unsure of whether he could floor it when the safety car had gone to the right. So a gift for Ollie Rowland. I mean, you saw multiple cars off the road. So Rowland locking up and giving the lead straight back to Matsushita. Heart-in-mouth time for De Jong, who thought he might be about to cream into the side of his teammate. Thankfully, he avoided that, but he's lost his position in the race, and we saw so many guys off the road as well with cold tyres and cold brakes. What a dramatic restart. And into the wall once again. It's Philo Armand for Trident, and we will surely see another safety car. It's down at turn number 7. The incident involving King and Ericsson will be debated by the stewards and the drivers after this race. And after what we saw at the restart, I suspect there'll be a lot more. Look at the weave that Gasly had, flat to the floor, and the safety car has been deployed. So a chance for us all to catch our breath. Don't go past Gasly, you can't do that. And he gets the message in the air, sees the boards and the yellow flags. And that was absolutely frenetic at the start of that restart. So let's recap the order, because it did change significantly there when we went back to green flag racing, as the marshals dealing very quickly. And MP is that for De Jong and his flat-spotted, or Roland and his flat-spotted tyres. This is Ollie Roland being passed for second place, having held the lead just a few meters before. We're on board with the British driver to the left of us. It's going to come an ART, and look how close it was. Inches between the front tyre of Roland and the rear tyre of Sorokin. Luca Giotto into the pit lane to repair some damage, so Trident have been in. Can he catch up to the back of the pack? It's an ART 1-2. Matsushita, who's held the lead for all but those few meters down to turn 1. So he's a little bit caught between a rock and a hard place now, because he knows yesterday that he didn't build the momentum he needed and got slipstreamed by Raffaele Marcello. That cost him the lead yesterday. Today, he bolted from turn 16, but then caught the safety car once again, and he looked a little bit like panic from the Japanese driver.
Focus on the race. Yes, okay, leave me alone now.
So Jordan King doesn't fancy much more of a chat with his engineer on the radio. He's had a dramatic weekend so far. Can he claim some points? He's in 10th position at the moment. So Pierre Gasly benefiting there. The safety car will be in this lap. And what will Matsushita choose to do? Will he back them up here? This is turn 15. Will he start? This is what we saw Giovinazzi do yesterday. He started them really, really slowly and then waited until the safety car line to try and minimize the chance of being slipstreamed into turn 1. So he tried to shorten it, and Matsushita is not going to repeat what he did a couple of laps ago. He's going to wait until that line, but it does mean the downside to that approach is that the rest of the field is right there. Nervous moments for ART and their team manager, Sebastian Philippe. He's got his cars in 1-2, which we've seen plenty of times with the ART. The entire field, once again, in the same shot. This racetrack is terrific. So it's down. Oh, there we go. So that's not the safety car line. It's going to appear. You're going to be able to see it. And that is the point. There it is. So you can overtake from that line there, and we're underway once again with green flag racing in Baku. Oh, it's going to be an accident there. That's Malia losing his front wing, and we could have a huge accident. They were all uncertain. Canamassas losing debris. Losing his front wing, cold tyres once again. Gasly somehow has managed to get himself. Oh, and Ollie Roland's been clobbered. Chaos once again at turn 1. Sorokin has lost a chunk of his nose. Was that to the back of his teammate? Matsushita somehow clinging on to the lead, but it's Raffaele Marcello who's benefited enormously. Canamassas has got damage to his front wing. Sean Galisle furious, and a safety car deployed again. How much more can we take here in Baku? Because there has been drama from the very first moment. Malia, who we saw run into the back of the car, losing his front wing, he would have had no chance of slowing down the Rapax into turn 1. They are the cars in the barrier.
What did he do? He just brake!
And you can see how pumped up Malia was. A chance of points today ends in the Tech Pro for him. Not to be his day. And this is what I was saying in terms of they all feel there is a result achievable today. And although they'd always tell you that at the start of a race, they really do believe there's a huge opportunity. Right, so we had a little bit of a debate yesterday about whether that was the safety car line. It is, but then, so you can overtake. So the drivers that are accelerating are right to do so. You can overtake from that safety car line. Half the field knew, half the field didn't. And Matsushita, well, and there's the incident between Mitch Evans and Gustav Malia. And so you heard Malia on the radio saying, why was he braking? Because half the field aware of where the safety car line was, and the other watching the pace of the de facto safety car, which was Matsushita, and it led to chaos. And we were so lucky. You're going to see Evans clobbered the flying front wing of Malia. So Gasly, and you can see there, that's why Roland spun. We were on board for that. So Malia not able to slow the car down, but that was chaos, and we were so lucky not to get an enormous accident there. The drivers all need to be told where the safety car line is. Once again, so Matsushita's in the lead. Cold tyres, cold brakes, no front wing for Malia. Tags the back of Ollie Roland. Sends Galail into the wall along with himself. Roland has rejoined. Let's see it on board. So he's chomping at the bit. So this is already, so we've already dropped Sorokin, who was in second place. You see a huge lock-up for Gasly, but he manages to get it slowed down. And then clobbered, no fault of his own, no fault of Malia either, really. Galail so disappointed. And so a lot of debris to clear. A lot of drama already on the board. And I know all the Formula One teams and drivers were watching. It's a new front wing for Sergio Canamassas. They've got through so many that it's a carbon fiber livery on the front there. And Mitch Evans, who was hit by Malia at the start of the chaos there, is sadly his day is run. Too much damage at the rear of the car as we see the Rapax being hoisted away by the recovery vehicle. So let's and you can see that Malia placing the blame very much.
Banned for life, this guy. Banned for life.
Banned for life, about as strong as you can get, but in fairness, he has just got out of the car. The adrenaline is pumping, I'm sure, when he sees it back. But there is mass confusion, which I've never seen before, between half of the field. We've got half of the guys who know where the safety car line is and know their rule book inside out, and we've got half of them that are waiting for the leader. And there's Mitch Evans. See if we can listen in. He's not as animated. You can see by the enormous chunk in the front wing of Sorokin that he was so lucky not to lose his front nose. And now, well, almost feel sorry for our race leader. Not a sentence you'll hear very often, but he must not know really what to do. I'm sure ART will have been communicating. Is anyone going to try and overtake at that line? There was confusion at the end of yesterday's race. It's not the first white line you will see that I think a lot of you were questioning whether Marcello could have gone past Giovinazzi on a restart yesterday. It's the second one further up the straight. So we're going back to green. What's going to happen this time? Remember, Pierre Gasly is leading his teammate, so Prima, who started this race in 8th with Giovinazzi and 18th with Pierre Gasly, now with every chance of winning both races. When are we going to go racing once again? And so the rest of the field waiting this time for Matsushita, who has gone, who has dropped the hammer and leads this race with Raffaele Marcello up to second. Is Gasly going to try into turn one? Marcello's wristed and there's contact for the lead. Nobuhara Matsushita's torrid day comes to an end at turn one. Raffaele Marcello hit him as well and spun, and our leader, unbelievably having started in 18th position, is Pierre Gasly, who can now sense a golden opportunity Sorokin, though, despite the hole in his front wing and missing an end plate, as Peak thinks about a move on Jeffrey, trying to get into second. It's a Prima 1-2. Remember when there was an ART 1-2 a few moments ago, as Peak and Latifi are battling on the road. That is around 10th place at the moment. It's 6th and 7th, sorry. It's changed over the line, of course, with us losing our top two. So, Matsushita out of the race. We did not see if Marcello, who was hugely locked up, was able to recover. We're on board with Alex Lynn. Here's what it looked like from his point of view, and contact with Markelov in front. He was so lucky. Well, I've never seen such scrappy restarts. But they all, apart from the front two, there's Marcello. He's not going to make the corner there. He's going straight on. And Matsushita was unaware. He did rejoin. Was he clobbered? He wasn't. So Matsushita's just turning into the corner. He's got to try and do that. Did not expect the lockup from Marcello. And so the first two eliminate themselves. Matsushita into the wall and Marcello to the bottom of the pack. He wouldn't have made turn one. He would have gone a long way wide. And Matsushita caught up in it. And you can see what Campos think of Matsushita being eliminated. And I can tell you the camaraderie is excellent among GP2 usually. So huge frustration from those eliminated. Matsushita is out. Pierre Gasly is leading, and then suddenly we haven't seen him post this pace all weekend, and Gasly can see the elusive win that so many have been talking about. He was furious with Norman Nato yesterday. Never seen him like it after a GP2 race. He said there was no need to try and win the race at the first turn. He said that there was no need to do it when he was in a championship battle, and now Gasly has somehow, in this crazy weekend of racing, found himself at the front of the field. So, a recap of the order. Gasly setting the fastest lap, leading a Prima 1-2. Giovinazzi in second position. Sorokin in third. Doesn't seem to be as comfortable as he was earlier in this race. Jordan King has had a very eventful week. Into Peak and Latifi, the Rapax and the Dams, 6th and 7th. Artem Markelov is 8th. Daniel de Jong, who you saw lock up earlier on, it rejoined in 12th position. And Canamassas has been refitted with a front wing to be in 13th place. So we're up to date with all the drama and all the developments in this extraordinary second race. Latifi looking really strong at the moment. He's certainly going to get a really good run coming out of turn 16. All the driver can do now, shifting up through the gears, building up from the 100 miles an hour of turn 16 to the 205 that they're approaching now at the end of the straight. Not long to go, but here's the update from the front two. The fastest lap has gone to Antonio Giovinazzi, who's hunting down his teammate and thinking about a double, thinking about an overtaking move. He's Artem Markelov for Russian time. Trying to move past Latifi, not able to do that this time. DRS, remember, has not been enabled yet due to the fact that we're recently under the safety car restart. It has now, right on cue. There you go. And so they will get that next time around on the 2 kilometer straight, the 1.4 mile straight that separates the last substantial corner, turn 16, with turn number 1. So Jeffrey, who had a brake problem, maintaining his 5th position. This would be a great haul of points for Arden, who would have been so disappointed. And you can see the gap between the two. Well, we've seen a ART 1-2 earlier in this race, and now Gasly, the favoured championship contender. Look at how much Giovinazzi is pushing to the wall, no margin being left. He said yesterday he didn't really think he'd be able to win a race in GP2 this year. It's such a strong series, but not only has he got his maiden win, he's going for the double. The man who can deny him, though, his teammate, and you can't make a daring move on your teammate. You can't cost Prima a 1-2 without facing some very angry Italians. And the damage to the front wing for Sorokin really costing him, because he's dropped off this team that, remember, is only in its 3rd round of GP2. Nothing between them, and Antonio Giovinazzi is going to get DRS. Is he going to be able to haul his teammate in? Is the long wait for a win going to continue for the Red Bull back driver? All safety car restarts will be investigated after the race, but right now we're focusing on the battle for the lead. And no DRS that time around for, I think it might have been for a yellow flag on track here, definitely been re-enabled. Markelov putting pressure on Latifi. Latifi going wide, and Markelov trying to take 7th place away. He's got the inside line. He's surely going to do it. And upper place in this engrossing sprint race goes Artem Markelov, and Russian time. Markelov, of course, who is currently 2nd in the title battle. Nato will not be scoring points today. We've lost Matsushita, Evans, Galail, Malia, Arman, Nato, and Ericsson. And remember, we had 8 laps of no drama at all. Well, that's changed. We're on board with the man who was running in the lead at one point after one of those restarts. This is him overtaking his teammate. And it's as simple as you like. You can see how bumpy this straight is. The driver's saying it's really affecting their vision. So for those of you wondering about team orders, they do not exist in GP2. It's every man for himself, and all they can do on the Prima pit wall is watch and hope that their boys don't add to the carnage that we've seen so far today. And look at that, that's Luca Giotto going past Latifi, who looked really strong at one point, and Giotto coming on strong. He did pit, remember, to change. Well, I thought that was for damage, and then going past Alex Lynn, who's had a torrid weekend, is Sergio Canamasas, who seems to be able to pass in positions that others simply cannot. He doesn't need to risk it into turn 16. He's about to get DRS, an enormous tow from the 2 cars in front, but Canamasas, who was caught up in that incident between King and Ericsson that seems a really long time ago with all the drama. Look how close they are, but we're back to the battle for the lead. Is Giovinazzi going to try it? And Gasly repels him for now with still no DRS down the main straight. Yes, there is in the background there between Peak and Markelov. And Markelov has taken 6th position away as they go on to their 18th lap. And Canamasas past Latifi. He's so close to the points. Giotto, who went in a different direction with the setup, desperately trying to score consecutive points for Trident. He scored his first points yesterday, and there's not long left now. We have a battle for the lead. We have a battle all the way through the field. Every single position is completely up for grabs. The only man really on his own is Sergei Sorokin, and look at how close the Primas are. Giovinazzi with a clear pace advantage. He's been so comfortable around this racetrack from the very first moment, but it's single file around here and high pressure on Gasly. Here they come, past the ancient city walls one more time, not focusing on that, focusing on each other. Gasly driving on his mirrors, and Giovinazzi desperate to join the really hallowed names of drivers that have won the double at a GP2 weekend, that include Hamilton, Rosberg and Hülkenberg. We haven't tended to see it at all in the Pirelli era. Only Valsecchi doing it recently. But we're awaiting to see what sort of run is the second Prima car on the road going to have this time around. Will he have DRS this time? He didn't have it last lap, remember. If he has, it's going to be extremely difficult for Gasly to keep him behind. He'll have to just hug the inside line and hope it works. Still no DRS for them. Going to the inside, but thinking better of it. Antonio Giovinazzi, and a huge wiggle of oversteer for Gasly on the exit of turn 1. They don't have DRS, and could that save Gasly in his battle to maintain the lead of the race? There are no yellow flags on the racetrack. Why aren't they having DRS?
No DRS for Giovinazzi. No DRS for Giovinazzi.
So need no DRS for Giovinazzi, who will be, well, he looks close enough without the use of it, I have to say. He's all over the back of his teammate. But Gasly will know that he has now a fighting chance. Surely with DRS, the lead would have already changed once again in the sprint race. So Peak is down in 7th. Markelov has managed to get past Nabil Jeffrey, who is still on for his first points of the season. If he can complete the 3.7 miles just a couple more times, but that's easier said than done. And remember, of course, despite the safety car periods, they really were struggling on this medium tyre towards the end of the race yesterday. So degradation, a huge factor. Strong drive from Markelov, who's been here, there, everywhere. Up the order, down the order, and now he finds himself in 5th position. 4 seconds to close to King, though, looks to be too much of an ask. We're back to the battle for the lead on the flat-out blast down to turn 1, heading up to 320 kilometers an hour.
CRS is not working. Stay calm.
So Giovinazzi being told to stay calm and do it the old-fashioned way. Gasly, you can see him looking in his mirrors, going defensive into turn 1. That puts him onto a less grippy part of the racetrack, and there's nothing between them on the exit of the corner. But Gasly, is he going to be able to make this work on the penultimate lap of the race? Peak forcing Jeffrey to the inside line. Don't try and go around the outside there. That could end in tears. Canamassas is up into the 8th position. He's passed Giotto for 8th, and now he's going to try and pass the Rapax for 7th, but no way through. He clobbered too much of the curb. That affected his momentum, but he does have DRS as we head down to turn 3. Both of them have got it, though. Somehow Jeffrey, who's clearly set his car up to be fast in the straight line, and Canamassas makes his way through, up into 7th place. Up goes Carlin, down goes Rapax. And we certainly, whenever we go to a street race circuit, see terrific action from the Spaniard, Sergio Canamassas, who has Jeffrey in his sights. He's fighting for 6th place at the moment. Markelov with a steady buffer to the Arden behind. We're on the penultimate lap of the race. Gasly, who's been hearing about the amount of time that he's not won a race in single-seaters since 2013. We'll be getting the nerves, we'll be getting the butterflies as you see Canamassa soaring into the advantage that Jeffrey had in front of him. Half a second between the leading pair. We're focusing on the open, flowing, fast section that finishes this lap before it all comes to a steady conclusion at turn 15. A difficult challenge for all of the drivers. So as we go on to the last lap of the race, Prima 1-2, but which way are they going to finish? Let's find out. 3.7 miles between them, and it's a great run for Giovinazzi, who's going for the double. Gasly going to the inside. He's going to hug the inside line, but can he get it slowed down? He's locked up, and it's a change for the lead. Giovinazzi's got past him. He's into the lead, and now the double looms large for the Italian driver. Gasly cracks under pressure on the final lap of the race. His heart sinks, but jubilation for Giovinazzi if he can just bring it home. Here's how it happened into turn 1. Gasly having to go defensive. He locked a tyre, and that must be a desperate feeling for the Frenchman, whose weight will seemingly go on. Giovinazzi, who has been the master around the 3.7 miles. Gasly so lucky that he didn't clobber the wall. Well, it's single file around this part of the lap, but he will be desperately trying to contain himself. That was really impressive stuff from the Italian driver, a graduate from Formula 3. We have a yellow flag, and it's Olli Rowland out of the race. A race that he held the lead in, remember, at one point. And he's off down at turn number 2. The yellow flag out. Of course, the field have all passed that point. Giovinazzi out of turn 15. You can see the time he's got on his teammate. He's nearly there. Here we go. This is Olli Rowland. Is it a car problem? And that is how it all went wrong. A lock-up, an issue with the brakes, it seems. Have to investigate afterwards. But here, about to take his second victory and about to do the double in GP2 to join the illustrious names, it's Antonio Giovinazzi who wins again. He is the master of Baku. It's a 1-2 for Prima in only their 6th race. And look what it means to him. Gasly beaten into 2nd. Sorokin is down to 3rd, but another podium to get his season up and running. King 4th, 5th was Markelov, 6th got Sergio Canamassas got past Nabil Jeffrey as you watch the celebrations on the pit wall. The final point scorer was Artur Peak, but what can you say about this man? All of the superlatives you are going to read are fully deserved. A man who said that a street was more mental than physical has shown real strength of the mind, and he had 3 or 4 laps to size up his opponent. Every driver will tell you their toughest opponent is their teammate, and he's beaten him to take victory once again.
Grandissimo Antonio, grandissimo ancora, bravissimo, bravo, bravo, bravo. Non ci posso credere ragazzi, non ci posso credere, can't believe.
Well, he was so pumped up yesterday. Today it sounds like disbelief, but that was absolutely magnificent from the 22-year-old Italian, who joins Lewis Hamilton, Nelson Piquet Jr., Nico Hülkenberg, Davide Valsecchi, Nico Rosberg and Giorgio Pantano as a double winner in GP2. What a remarkable couple of races we have seen. Here's your final classification of the sprint order. Antonio Giovinazzi making it 2 wins from 2 in Baku. His teammate beaten to 2nd. Sorokin was 3rd. 4th, Jordan King. 5th, a strong recovery from Artem Markelov. 6th was Sergio Canamassas. 7th, Nabil Jeffrey. 8th was Artur Peak. Just missing out on the points, Alex Lynn and Marvin Kirchhofer. Raffaele Marcello getting ahead of Giotto after his spin and contact with Nobahara Matsushita. Nicholas Latifi was 13th. De Jong ran as high as 2nd, of course, at one point. Ollie Rowland was in the lead, but didn't finish the race. He's still classified, though. And then we saw the retirements from Matsushita, Evans, Galile, Malia, Armand, Nato, and Ericsson. And what an unbelievable spectacle Azerbaijan has given us after 21 laps of racing. So we didn't see the full racing laps yesterday, but we got them all today. And what staggering overtaking and entertainment, and a bold move for the lead. The pressure was simply too much. He applied it for 5 consecutive laps, forced his teammate wide, forced him to the inside line. Not a lot of grip there. And Giovinazzi is going to hear his national anthem once again as the flag's being waved by the marshals. And they are picking up.
You have a fastest lap as well. And you were last in lap 1. Cosa abbiamo fatto? Cosa abbiamo fatto?
He's so animated. And why wouldn't you be after putting in a weekend like this? Truly incredible stuff. He didn't have the fastest lap yesterday. He's got it today and an extra 2 points. And he has thrust himself into the title battle for the GP2 series. And in what style he has done that as well. Well done to Sergio Canamassas, who really does turn up every time we go to a street venue. Was in the pits after one of the chaotic restarts with a new nose. Managed to fight himself back through the order. Good points for Carlin once again. Sorokin really did look like he had the measure. Remember, of course, he started in 7th. Was looking really strong for the win, but you can just about see the hole in the front of his car. Here are the 2 Primas, though, led by Gasly, who you have to feel sorry for. It was so tantalizingly close to ending all the talk of debut wins. But he can't believe it. Our race winner cannot believe it. Car number 20, driven by Antonio Giovinazzi, with some of the most entertaining 45 minutes of racing you'll ever see. And he will stand on top of the car. All the better that he did it without the use of DRS. He had to fight his way through. That makes it even more remarkable in my book. And he staggers to his team, who will be staggered by their man's performance. He likened the place to Macau. It's messed with my brain, all that excitement. And he put it to put it to good use. Really sporting stuff from Gasly, who will be hurting inside. And he gets the congratulations. Wonderful to see. The message pretty clear. Prima are 1-2. And that will do them no harm at all in the team standings, as the boss congratulates the young Italian, who seems in a bit of a daze, to be honest. Well, he might be, after storming through. Started 8th, shuffled down the order after a poor start. He was around 11th or 12th after the first lap. And so, as the administration is completed, we look at the top 3. Such a select group. The Giovinazzi has joined. But the first time since 2012 that we've had one man triumph in both races. But such was his margin on the rest of the field. It's not really that surprising he was able to complete it. But what a spectacular way that he did it. Let's listen in to the driver's room to see if there's any conversation between the teammates and third place man Sorokin.
You did the job. I'm happy, really good weekend. I was struggling so much. All the traction, like. We're happy.
Last, man.
What?
So as the top 3 compose themselves and we look at the damage that I was mentioning a few moments ago on Sorokin's car. He was no longer a factor after that was damaged at the front. And before that, he really had looked very strong indeed. Raffaele Marcello looked good, Ollie Rowland looked good, but it's Antonio Giovinazzi who's denied his teammate. As we see last year's champion, who would have been mighty impressed with that. Even he couldn't manage a double in a weekend. So, absolutely thrilling stuff. Let's see our top 3 on the podium. Sergei Sorokin, good points for the championship, and my word, did he need that. Another third for him, casual as you like. It's another podium for Pierre Gasly, but not the step he wanted, his 6th podium in GP2. And Antonio Giovinazzi back onto the podium to acclaim. And let's hear the Italian national anthem. A rousing rendition of the Italian national anthem for Antonio Giovinazzi. His 2nd podium, his 2nd win, and a trophy he will be very, very proud of.
To the 2nd place driver, Pierre Gasly, the trophy is presented by Arif Rahimov, Executive
A 6th
Director
pot for the mantelpiece for Gasly. He doesn't look too downbeat, given I think he was talking about the oversteer he had at the end of the race. And Sorokin, more points, get himself into the battle. Well, the guys down below will be getting their cameras out because we won't forget this one in a hurry. You never really know how a circuit is going to run. But my word, we've been treated to some absolutely spectacular action across both races. Truly marvelous stuff. And the man in front of it all is Antonio Giovinazzi. He takes a well-earned swig at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so let's hear from the top three. We'll be back with you in Austria in 2 weeks' time. But let's hear from the top three, who are going to be asked the questions by Lucia Coward.
Interviewing the drivers on the podium, Lucia Coward.
Wow, what an exciting race there from round 3 of GP2. Congratulations again. Antonio, you did the double.
Yeah, still can't believe. It was an amazing race. I had again best start and then I had a problem with the engine in the first lap, so it was a P-last in the first lap. But then, yeah, the car was just amazing. Say again, thanks to Prema. I was just perfect everything. And then with a big confusion in the safety car, again some other position. Then, yeah, in the last lap with Pierre was good fight. Say also good race for him. He started P18, so it's really good for the team. And yeah, thanks to Jagunayama again, and yeah, still unbelievable for me. Yeah.
Congratulations again. And Pierre, same to you as well. Coming up from 18th there on the grid, a pretty fantastic race for you too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a brilliant race. It's not, I mean, we're going to fight at the start because we wanted to recover from yesterday. And yeah, of course, we wanted to do a good result, but to be on the podium is just amazing for the team, especially to finish first and second is really good. The car has been great all weekend. We have been a bit unlucky, but at least we saved some points in the end. And yeah, great fight with Antonio. I was struggling, like the last 5 laps were really difficult for me. And last lap he overtook me, but it was a great fight. And yeah, I think it's a really good result overall.
Great, thanks so much, Pierre. And over to Sergei as well. Congratulations to you too. This weekend must bring you a lot of confidence for the season going forward.
Yeah, you're right. We were a bit unlucky in the beginning, but anyway, in every single outing we were on the track, we were one of the quickest car, or I would say even the quickest. So it's nice to be back here on the podium. You know, if not some you know, difficulties on the restart of one of the safety cars. But anyway, thanks to those guys, not many of them today here, we're working very well together, and we will come back even more next time. So.
Great, thanks Sergei, and thanks guys. Congratulations again to all of them. And that's it for GP2 for this weekend, but returns again in 2 weeks' time in Spielberg in Austria.
Oh,
To the third place driver, Sergei Sirotkin.
Now, celebration!